Hey, New Patient Group and Right Chat Nation. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Brian Wright here, and welcome to episode 5 of season number 5. Getting back from an amazing New Patient Group Doctor Mastermind. Shout out to the docs that joined us in Wine Country, California. Man, oh man, the feedback has been impeccable. I joked with Eric internally that, boy, it was our first Mastermind in-person event, and we kind of outdid ourselves. So the rest of them are downhill moving forward. That's the bad part about it. It was so awesome. The food, the camaraderie, the business roundtables, just the friendships, the relationships that we're so well known for with our clients with New Patient Group and with Right Chat, a newer company, obviously, but a company that started to really dominate. It's just really cool to see. I am so proud of the people that showed up and interacted with each other. I'm so proud of the other day, our practices have started to visit each other, learn from each other. It's just this innovative clinical business and marketing think tank, all under one roof that is just dominating orthodontics. And I still hear speakers talk about how the consumer's changing and orthodontics and dentistry and all these are changing. It's a bunch of bull. It's changed. The change has happened. If you aren't evolving and you're not part of that change, you're done. You're going to be so many years behind the rest of the people that realize how important digital workflow and virtual consultations and training to give your team members skill sets that they do for you every day but aren't qualified to do them. Sales, customer service, hospitality, verbiage, presentation, psychology, all the things that we talk about on here. If you're not committed to ongoing training, repetition of the people, you're done. So the change is not happening. The change has happened. And I am so proud of the New Patient Group doctors for just staying ahead of it, keeping their head down and focused on the right things that you can control. And boy, oh boy, was that mastermind group amazing. Looking forward to a great episode today. I'm going to be talking about the most important piece of your brand awareness that you've likely never thought about. I'm going to paint an image for you on something that when you hear me dive into it today, you're going to go, oh yeah, like I haven't paid attention to that. And the reason I'm going to be talking about it today is obviously I know with the New Patient Group clients, I see it with a lot of the podcast listeners that message me consistently. Still a major pain point in your office is hiring. It's employee headaches. And when I dive in today on something that I think it will forever change how you look at things, and it will forever change why you may think why you're struggling to actually find the right people for your organization. Going to put a different spin on it for you. I know you're going to enjoy it. And this conversation, the reason I'm doing this today, one, I told you, I like to keep the themes. Right now, another hot topic is I can't find people, hiring, things like that. And I could have done a podcast, and there is a upcoming podcast about outsourcing and things like that. And I kind of fought today, actually, between doing this one and another one that's the 3 ways to solve your employee headaches. And I'm going to do this one this month, and I think next month I'm probably going to come back with that one and stay on this theme for a couple months because I want you to hear them both. The one next month is going to be very important, just like this one. But today, I want you to really pay attention, take notes, and really take to heart some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. And after today, I want you to go back to last season, if you have not already listened to the podcast from season 4 that talks about the best marketing investment you'll likely never make. I want you to listen to that podcast after I do this one, all right? The two are by no means the same, but they do go hand in hand, and I'm going to be bringing up some of the things from that podcast and talking about today. And I hope you forever look at your brand differently after you hear what we talk about on today's podcast. Hope you're doing great out there. Before we get started, let's fire up the music.
A practice on almost every corner, and the modern day consumer viewing you as a commodity. So why is it the best time in history to own a practice? The answers are all right here. Welcome to Season 5 of the New Patient Group audio experience, a business, marketing, and life coaching podcast dedicated to helping doctors dominate the new economy. And now your host, he's the founder and CEO of New Patient Group, managing partner of Right Chat, and a trusted motivational speaker for the finest companies in the world, Brian Wright.
everybody. Welcome back in. I want to start off, I want to get a special shout out here to two very important people to me. The first one is Eric Field, who is the Chief Operational Officer of New Patient Group. That our mastermind group event that I talked about on the intro would never have happened if it wasn't for him. Okay, they also wouldn't have happened, or would have been very difficult for it to have happened without Dr. Richard Portalupe, another very close friend of mine. Richard lives out in wine country. His sister has a winery. Matter of fact, so if you want to look up Portalupe Wines, that is his sister winery out in Healdsburg, out in the wine country area out there in California, and their wines are impeccable. Matter of fact, they have two of the best whites I've ever had in my life, especially for the price you can get them. They're just great reds. They got some good Italians, just a good place with good wines. Look into their wine membership. But Richard really helped, for those of you who know me well, I am a major foodie. Like, I do not mess around with food, and restaurants drive me absolutely nuts when they can't do it as good as I do, or they don't pay attention to how they plate their food, or, all of the attention to detail items that go into just offering a beautiful, high dollar experience, from how the waiter talks to how you're greeted, all the things, honestly, we do with New Patient Group. We bring those philosophies inside the healthcare environment that work so well. Restaurants drive me crazy if they don't do that, and honestly, most of them don't. So Richard knew how serious I was when I said, hey, man, get us some good restaurants, and boy, oh boy, you knocked it out of the park. The feedback has been great. The food was great. The wine, the experience, the ambiance, the camaraderie, everything was it was awesome. Really appreciate it, Rich, and the hospitality at your sister's winery. Amazing stuff. Eric, and one of the things that it's harder for a small business, if you get a large corporation, you've got your CEO that oftentimes, is disconnected from what's really happening, and they've got an assistant, and they've got all these people, and their job is to make sure the CEO's vision gets carried out and blah, blah, blah. Well, as a smaller business, a lot of you can relate to this being a smaller practice out there. You may be one location. Even if you're 5 or 10, even 20 or 25, that's still a small business. It's harder to have a bunch of people that actually do things to carry out your vision. Oftentimes, you're wearing 1,000 hats, and you're the one that's doing it on top of other people, and you just are all wearing multiple hats. That's the beauty and also the nightmare of being a small business owner, that a lot of times people that have worked for corporations only their whole life, they can't relate to it. And Eric really took, a couple years ago, I had this vision for the mastermind, and there were some internal discussions, I would say fight against me on, these doctors, they're already so busy, they're not going to want to do this. Well, I had the vision of all the MPG doctors being this family and talking to each other in a private Slack channel and helping each other clinically and, visiting each other's practices, us having an in-person event and a monthly meeting every month on Zoom. And it really has all come together. But that vision that I had very much has become a reality. And there's other reasons, but a big reason is Eric Field, making sure that stuff is carried out and making sure this wine event, everything was structured, because I'm the opposite of a structured guy. I am a constant visionary and idea guy. I am not structured by any means. So this event had to be structured. It had to be to a T. Everything just had to be to a letter. And boy, oh boy, it was nailed. And also Lori Field, who works for New Patient Group as well. Lori and Eric, shout out to you guys. I mean, it was great. So you three, Rich, Eric, and Lori, you really made it just a wonderful event. And that's kudos and kind of a lesson to all of you business owners out there, is it can't just be you. You've got to understand what you're really good at. You've got to understand what you're not so good at. And you got to make sure that you have the personalities around you to support what you're not good at. You can't have a bunch of people that are good at the same thing. That's a recipe it's just a recipe for a non-success. And that's a podcast in itself. So it was a great time. Shout out to you guys. A lot of stuff going on. Let's see. We've got the OrthoFi all-day workshop coming up the Friday before the AAO in Miami next month. All of you, OrthoFi decided not to charge for it. Reach out, I'm going to put the link to the landing page on this video if you're watching on our YouTube station. go register if you're going to the AAO. It's going to be the best day of your life for your practice. I am going to walk you through a patient acquisition and conversion journey that you've not been walked through before, and it's all day long. It's going to be the most in-depth thing you've ever had in your life, in your career. I can promise you that. Bring your team. They're going to be role-played with, exercised with. You're going to be role-played with. And it's everything you could ever possibly imagine. And 99.9% of it will be the opposite of everything you've ever taught or thought in your entire career. All right? It is going to shake your boat, which is exactly what we do as a company and why it works, especially in this dynamic new economy that we call it. It works even better because of the state of everything going on with consumerism and commoditization. So make sure to come check us out. Then we've got the OAO, the Ontario Association of Orthodontics, coming up in June. And I'll be the keynote there. So all the Canadian podcast listeners, I can't wait to see you. I've gotten a lot of messages. We've got other stuff. NISO invited me to speak. Synergy, that's a big event. I'm their keynote there. A lot of really cool stuff going on. I know I announced a relationship with Dental Monitoring. We're working on stuff there. Invisalign Speed, just a lot of good stuff going on. So make sure you check out where we're at. Come see us. And like I always talk about, I appreciate all of your loyalty listening to the podcast. So let's dive in. No, as a business owner, this is so easy to forget. And it's unfortunate that it's so easy to forget. And I am adamant about when I say what is the first thing that comes to your mind is being the most important part of your brand. If you were to go poll 100 people, forget doctors, just business owners in general, what is the most important part of your brand? If you polled 1,000 people, 10,000 people, and you ask that question, you're going to get very similar answers. You're going to get things mostly related to the customer or the community, such as, okay, what's the most important part of your brand awareness, Joe or Mary? You're going to get things like, well, what people think of us, or do we come to their mind whenever they think about our related product? They're searching for dental work, orthodontic work. Have they heard about us before, and have they heard positive things before, so they go directly looking for us? How many people know us in the community? You're going to hear a lot of outward thinking thoughts, and you're going to hear a lot of things about the customer or potential customer as it relates to what they think about your brand. And obviously, all of that stuff is extremely important and right at the top of the list. What you're not going to hear about, and if you I had a couple talks about this recently with new patient group clients, because, while many people out there in the industry are struggling with being able to find people, and probably even better said, good people, and we live in just a crazy time with all of that. There's a lot of people struggling in that area. There's quite a few new patient group clients that do not have that struggle at all. There's people banging down their door, even in this economy that we live in, wanting to work there. And the question that you've got to ask yourself is why? And partly you're going to get the argument from some people is, well, it's where they're located. And does location have something to do with it? Of course it does. It's the same thing. Does location help with people's success? Of course it does. If you're in the perfect location, you don't have a lot of quote-unquote competitors around you, you could be doing a lot of things wrong and a lot of things a lot worse than somebody they may be doing everything right, but they have 25 people around them. Location definitely helps. So sure, that's part of it. But the biggest part, especially when I look at the practices that we have with New Patient Group, that do not have finding people, good high quality people that want to work for them anytime they need it. They all have very similar traits, and all of those traits are in common. And they're better at them than the practices that struggle trying to find people and trying to find, like I said earlier, more importantly, good people. So you look at that and you go, what's the difference? What makes one practice, one business, and this isn't a practice healthcare thing. Finding good people and hiring right is a struggle for all companies right now. Small business owners feel the brunt of it because if we lose a team member as a small business owner, it hurts a lot more than if you're a big corporation that has hundreds upon hundreds of people, if not thousands upon thousands of people. So the pain and the burden is increased the smaller business you are. So you look at this and you say, Brian, how can I help make sure that when I go to hire, we're getting the best of the best resumes come through? And here is what you have to ask yourself. And then I'm going to dive into what the actual answer is. And this is also why I want you to go back, like I said on the front end, and listen to season 4, the best marketing investment you'll likely never make. Because to date, the practices that listened to that have the traits that I'm talking about, meaning that they can find people and it's not hard, those are the practices that actually listened to that podcast and went and did it. All right? So ask yourself, how much time do you spend either one-on-one or as a group, as a practice, or both, learning about each other? Just think of that. If I said right now, and I sat down, make-believe name, and I said Dr. Jones, or Joey the business owner, or Betty the office manager, whatever it may be, how much do you know about Tom, Susie, Betty, Barry, and Nancy? How many kids do they have? Where are they from? What are their kids' names? What are their kids' hobbies? What kind of food do they like? What's their favorite color? Where'd they grow up? What are their hobbies? How much do you actually know each other? And the answer for most companies is not much. And that goes for, if you took some of the largest, most successful corporations and you asked the CEO, what is Nancy, the rep's favorite color? The CEO is going to have no clue, right? But that's also the case for most small businesses, because from 8 to 5, you're inundated with nothing but work. In the healthcare world, that means you're in the mouth all day, you're answering calls, you're greeting people, you're putting out fires, whatever it may be. There's no time. Or if I asked you, have you ever gone out to a really nice dinner and you took your team of 8 and you spoiled them and just spent time laughing together and bonding? Or have you ever maybe babysat one of your employees' kids, just to give them a break where they didn't even have to hire a babysitter? Did you have their kids over to your house and said, hey, you know what? Whatever. Sierra, she works for Right Chat. Sierra, go have a nice night out. Bring the kids over. Kristen and I will watch them. They can hang out with Braden and Madeline, that type of thing. What type of experience do your employees get from you in you making them feel comfortable and safe? Because the common trait that the practices have that do not have this existing hiring mistake, and what the most important piece of your brand awareness is as a business owner, is not the customer. It's what your employees think of your brand. Because they speak to, we as business owners spend so much time worried, and rightfully so. It's not like we shouldn't, but we spend so much time worried about, oh my God, what is the community saying about me? And the scary thing is we don't know. You know what shows up on Google, but you don't know what shows up when mom talks to 20 other moms at the baseball game, right? You don't know. Those are those unknowns as a business owner that always cost us the most money, but you can't put your finger on them. How many missed new patient calls you had last month? You have no idea. You had at least 3. I know that because we see the data with Right Chat. But you can't put your finger on it. You can't put your finger on mom going out to the baseball game saying, you know what, just the wait times there, they're too busy. I don't feel like I'm their only customer. I'm their only patient. Don't go there, too busy. You can't put your finger on that loss. And there's tons of examples in every business out there, more so than others. And healthcare is a huge one where there's those type of things happening all over the place. So my question is what are the employees? If you've been open 1 or 2 years, it's a little bit different because there hasn't been enough time. But if you've been around 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 years, you have to ask yourself, and if you're new too, I'm not saying if not, it's just obviously the longer you're around, the more time word gets to spread around. What are people saying from an employee standpoint about your brand? And is it tarnished? Do they say things like, unbelievable clinician? I mean, this person invests extra money that otherwise could go in his or her pocket just to get the finest materials. This person, every single week, blocks time on the schedule to meet with us, to learn about us, to get our side of the gig, if you will, because we're on the ground floor. And that's the piece that's so sad with large corporations, is the upper teams are so disconnected from what's actually going on. It's crazy because they don't function like a small business. So instead of having quarterly Zooms with the ground floor, they operate on a whole different level, think that that's what leadership is, and are very disconnected from what's actually happening. And that happens in small businesses too, but in a different way. So are these employees out also saying, look, once a month or every 3 months, we all go over to Dr. Jones's house and he cooks for us and we all swim together and we bring our kids. He takes us on really fun trips. He allows us to enjoy things that at our pay level we never otherwise would be able to do. And that's that marketing investment podcast that if you haven't listened to, it's one of my most favorite of all time because it's reality. We all expect as well a certain level of experience. And when we talk experience, it always makes me laugh when people talk experience because people throw that word around left and right. Like we talk about it on a whole nother planet. And when you're talking about that, if you have people that can't afford that level of experience, a Ritz, a $500 meal for two, then it's impossible to get them to fully comprehend what you're trying to accomplish and what you want carried out at your organization. That podcast dives much more into it. But if you're one that it doesn't have to be every month. Believe me, I get it. That stuff's expensive. There's lots of things that we all as business owners would love to do for our employees. But based on where your business journey is, a lot of times you just can't afford it if you actually want to get paid yourself, which is kind of nice every once in a while. So as employees talk, if Betty talks to Susie at another practice, because it's a small world, just like doctors, it's a very small world. It's a very small world with the employees, too. They talk, man. Don't make any mistake about it. They talk. And if you think about this, are they saying the right things? What makes, just like the customer, what makes your business, your practice unique in the mind of a consumer that knows little to nothing clinically compared to the other 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 25 options? And on the surface, the answer is nothing in the mind of the consumer. And it's the same thing. And obviously, these are people that have not bought from you on the surface I'm talking about. And it's the same thing with the employees. Most of the time, there's nothing unique about working for practices or a specific business as opposed to the other places people can go nice, which means the only thing that they have to go on is pay, benefits, things like that. So if they're looking around and you have business A that offers such and such a month, maybe you offer insurance, maybe you don't. You've got business B that offers more a month, plus insurance benefits, plus time off, plus vacation, all that stuff. You say, how in the world do you compete? And how you compete is based on your brand and what employees have said in the past. Because if Betty goes around and Betty says, look, Julie, this is what I make, and I could choose to make more other places, and I've thought about it. But here's the thing. Clinically, best doctor I've ever worked for. The training, It's unbelievable. Like, it happens every week. You're never confused about where the doctor stands. We have all the tools we need. Non-clinically, I mean, this guy or this girl, boy, oh boy, does she care. I mean, we get to do things as a team. We go on vacations together. We get great bonuses if we work hard. He cooks for us. He even does a lot of the things that we should do. Sometimes he takes out the trash. He shows up 20 minutes earlier than all of us and helps us out sometimes with our stations. He's always asking about our family, always letting us know, if something's bothering you, reach out. If you have financial difficulties, if your boyfriend broke up with you. He always is very clear about, look, I'm here for you. I care. I'm passionate about your career. I'm also passionate about your life. Like, we always do team events together. If there's an event like an American Association of Orthodontics, he takes us all. And Orthopreneurs, he takes us all. It's never just an isolated to just him or her. It's a group event. He really pushes us to improve our skill sets. And I've never worked for a company with more of a family-owned feel where I feel safe because I've got the best boss, the best leader around. There's just so many unique experiences that come with this job. Because those are the things, the corporations that can offer great benefits out there that a lot of the smaller practices can't. What the corporations are never going to commit to is what I'm talking about right now. It's never going to happen. Never. It's the same thing that the corporations are never going to commit to the type of training New Patient Group installs into practices. It's never going to happen. Like, it's just not. You can't convince them. So it's very unlikely for it to happen. So these experiences that we talk about for you, for the customer, the patient, they also has to be carried out for the team member. Because that is a way to make you unique, a way to make up for maybe not being able to pay as much hourly, a way to make up for maybe not being able to have as many benefits. But what it really does over the course of time is it builds a brand in the employee side of your community that very few people ever think about. And that is the most, by far and away, most important part of your brand, because the better the people that are working for you, the higher the trained, etc. All of that brand awareness there rubs off to the customer and the community. A lot of that takes care of itself. If you have people that you can't turn your head for 5 seconds because you're worried what the heck they're going to do, what they're going to say, and we as business owners, we all deal with that. No matter how much you train, no matter how much you plead, no matter how much you cry, no matter how much you yell, whatever it may be, we all have people that just simply aren't capable of going and doing it when you're not looking. We all deal with that. And that's okay. It doesn't make you bad. That's called being a business owner and dealing with people. But the one thing all of us can control is showcasing the passion you have for your customer, your patient, your client, the passion you have of wanting the best for every one of them, the passion you have to be the best yourself as a leader, and just from a skill set and a commitment to always improving, because that commitment of always improving yourself, it rubs off on the employees. Like, you want people that want to improve, that embrace it. Because inevitably, part of what you want your brand to do is you want your brand to turn people off. And this is what I mean by that. So it's not just about creating an exceptional brand with employees. It's also creating that brand with employees that as they talk, they're turning off the bad ones. Because what happens to the people that don't give a crap about improvement, don't give a crap that you give a crap, that you want to be a part of their lives, you want to be there when needed, is it weeds those people out. And that's exactly what you want. I get it. In order to open up your restaurant, you've got to have waiters. Otherwise, you can't open it up. And if the waiters stink, that's probably better than not opening up the doors. Like, I get the dilemma. It's the same way. I'm using that as an analogy in the practice environment. Like, I get it. In order to have butts in the chair that have bought Invisalign from you, you've got to have an assistant. Like, I get it. But over the course of time, what you try to do is you try to build this team of rock stars. And that is so much easier if the verbiage around town coming from the people inside your doors is this place is impeccably run. You are not going to be treated better. You are not going to find somebody that wants more for you out of your career. You are not going to have a better bonus opportunity. Now, that bonus opportunity that we have, and this is still me talking as an employee to another employee, we have to work for it. It's based off of how much we improve ourselves. It's not just this ridiculous, if we hit 100,000 in production this month, everybody gets X. Like, no, the bonuses are tied to what we as individuals can control through holding ourselves accountable by getting better at the training that this doctor invests in. Now, that line in itself is going to turn off anybody that doesn't want to improve, and that's fine. Because you're better off getting 3 resumes of good, high-quality people than 20 resumes that include 1 good person and 19 ones that are not good. It's the same thing as new patients. Quality doesn't mean anything. Quantity doesn't mean anything. It's all about the quality as it relates to the business model you're trying to run. So it's a question as business owners we have to ask ourselves. And you have to ask yourself is, what do employees say, both clinically and non-clinically, about working here? And how does it separate my business and my company from all the other places people can choose to work? Because I have news for you. Just like patients are shopping more and more and more and more, guess what? Employees are becoming more and more picky where they're choosing to work. So they're shopping. They don't know anything to you at this point. They're just putting their resume out there, starting to search for a job. So how much of an advantage do you have whenever they're submitting their resume and it's only to you? It's like, look, if I'm going to go do this job, this is the place. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get through the doors at this place. Jet Pascal, shout out to you, man. He's one of the ones that is kind of our ideal practice from A to Z. The way they do online marketing, to how they handle the new patient phone call, to what happens before the patient shows up, to what happens when the patient shows up, to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They right now are our model citizen, as well as a Rob Schaefer. Shout out to you, Rob. And I bring that up because a Jet Pascal, as an example, does not have hiring problems. Why? Because people are banging down his doors to work there. Why? Because of all the things that I'm talking about. And for Jet's type business model, he needs more people. There's other types, and a lot of you hear me talk about outsourcing and things like that. There's other practices that don't need as many people. But if you only have a few people like that model, you still need to have the best. You need to have go-getters. You need to have people that are going to listen. They're going to look in the mirror. They're going to constantly improve. They're going to do whatever it takes to make sure your baby that you went to school and came out in $1 million+ of debt is taken care of when you're not looking. And this all goes back into the brand you have. If your brand isn't what I'm describing, you are going to have hiring problems. And you can blame it wherever you want. But the reality of the situation is it goes back to the most important part of your brand awareness is what employees are talking about in the community about working for you. Because baby, that spreads. And the hard part is people are designed to usually talk about the negative. Working for him, he's a screamer. He gets after us. We don't get trained. The place is unorganized. There's no place like, our university, our MPG University platform, our Office Automated platform. There's nothing where employees can sit down and watch automated training videos on how to clean the sterilization room and how to answer the phones and all these things. It's just a mess. It's all over the place. You've got an office binder for employee manual here, and then you've got policies how to do this over here. You've got 7 logins, the different places to go. You don't block time because you think that patients in the chair is what's making you money rather than an hour or two every week blocked with your time, block time to just spend with your team. That's what makes you money, is moving the business forward every single week, forever. So if that's the brand, people either aren't talking, which is arguably just as bad, or they're talking about, look, don't go work there, or this is what you're going to find. Or if you're choosing between a couple, here's what you've got to watch out for about this particular practice. And don't make the mistake thinking that they're not doing this, because they are. You know, I see it in healthcare. A lot of the employees have friends that are employees somewhere else. They hang out together. They talk. And don't think that people are not talking about this part of your brand. Because if you're able to offer a very unique experience to your employees, and they truly know that you care beyond the customer, that you care about them, that will attract better people. It will also, and arguably more important, actually not arguably, it is more important, retain the good ones. You know, we talk a lot with New Patient Group. New Patient Group is very much dependent on retention. I never wanted a situation where we had 20,000 clients. I wanted, and this is doctors listening, MPG people, this is what they appreciate. I wanted close personal attention, close personal relationships. Our team is your team, not a consultant, a division of your organization that handles everything you'll ever need to grow. Is there for you during the down times to help you minimize your losses and also still succeed, and also skyrocket the growth during the good times, and handle a lot of the stresses you otherwise would be dealt with on training and marketing and business coaching and culture building and life and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I never wanted this mass organization. I wanted something close-knit. And our company is designed to not have to go out and close 20 new customers a month. Our clients love it, and that's what we love. But my point is on the retention is if it was constantly a leaky hole going out the back end, we can't be that company. Then you have to dump a bunch of money into advertising. You've got to get clients that don't even know who you are. It's just like the patients. If you have leaky holes in your organization, you have to do more advertising, maybe pay-per-click. You get phone calls from the wrong people. The conversion's hard because they're shopping at 5 different places. It's the same type of situation with your practice. Same thing, just a different industry. It's retention. And a big part of creating this brand that I'm talking about and referencing to, a huge part of that, retains your clients. Retains your employees. For obvious reasons, because employees are always going to be offered more money. It's the same thing where I don't like the business model of I want to have a ton of new patients and charge a cheap price and just get what I get. Because somebody can always be cheaper than you. Always. And it's the same thing what I'm talking about here is somebody can always offer Betty more money than you. There's always going to be that offer out there. And employees look, man, they should. So you ask yourself if Betty, who may be your favorite employee, gets offered $2 or $3 more an hour and better benefits by another organization, would she take it today? And the answer for most of you out there is the answer is yes. Because if you can't match that, what experiences are you doing where Betty goes, you know what? I need that money. I want that money, and those benefits sure would be nice, but I cannot leave here. I can't leave the experiences, the camaraderie. I love every, 2-3 months going out to a meal that even if I got the $3 extra, I couldn't afford. I love being a part of that atmosphere that my job pay would never allow me to be a part of. I love the way we bonus here. It's based off of of reading a good book and giving a summary on how it's going to help advance my career as opposed to production that I can't control. I love all that stuff. And as business owners, take this to heart because it's so hard. I know it's not easy. It's not easy. But take this to heart and really pay attention on what kind of brand are you building in the mind of employees in your respective industries out there in the community. And is that why it's hard for you to find people? Because again, it goes back to, and I've seen it, the practices that New Patient Group has that does what I'm talking about, they do not have hiring problems, or they're significantly less because they already have resumes before they're even looking for them. Because people are banging down their door asking if they can come work there. You've got to do things unique for your employees that other places just will not commit to. And the ironic thing about when you do that, it builds a better brand with your customer as well, because all that protrudes onto your employee, client, customer experience. It all relates back to the culture you're building. And then this relates back to what type of culture do you have for your employees? What do you offer that's unique? And what are the employees out in the community talking about? Are they actively selling you as a place to come work? Are they actively selling you as a place not to work? Or are they just not saying anything, which, like I said earlier, is basically just as bad as them actively selling you or selling people on not coming to work for you? Think about this and think about the changes. Some of them I listed to you already. Dinners every few months, meetings and talking about their kids and maybe their personal problems and how you can help out and how you can make them feel safe, how you can be an integrated part of their personal life, not just business. And if you're a person that wants nothing to do with that, I feel sorry for you, because it's supposed to be a family in a small business. You're supposed to have people that want that as a small business. That's how you thrive as a small business. I hope you took this all to heart today. Most important piece of your brand awareness that you're most likely not thinking about. I hope this reshapes your mind and do something, when you go into the practice tomorrow morning, say thank you to your team. Say thank you. Say you appreciate them. You're here for them. Wow them that way. Say, look, I want to learn more about you. Block a meeting and let them know that you want to learn more about them. Play some games. You can play a game where everybody writes down 3 things about themselves. And one person calls out on a piece of paper, okay, I went to school here. I've got 2 kids. And the person that wins that round is the one that picks the person. Learn about each other. Have some fun. Take your mind off of work. And start this employee experience journey that I'm talking about. That is the most important piece of your brand awareness if you want to attract great employees in an economy that's very hard to find people, especially good. Take this to heart. I appreciate everybody listening. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon with the next episode of the New Patient Group and Right Chat podcast. Bye-bye, everybody. And the hard part is people are designed to usually talk about the negative. Working for him, he's a screamer. He gets after us. We don't get trained. The place is unorganized. There's no place like, our university, our MPG University platform, our Office Automated platform. There's nothing where employees can sit down and watch automated training videos on how to clean the sterilization room and how to answer the phones and all these things. It's just a mess. It's all over the place. You've got an office binder for employee manual here, and then you've got policies how to do this over here. You've got 7 logins, the different places to go. You don't block time because you think that patients in the chair is what's making you money, rather than an hour or 2 every week blocked with your time, block time to just spend with your team. That's what makes you money, is moving the business forward every single week, forever. So if that's the brand, people either aren't talking, which is arguably just as bad, or they're talking about, look, don't go work there, or this is what you're going to find. Or if you're choosing between a couple, here's what you've got to watch out for about this particular practice. And don't make the mistake thinking that they're not doing this, because they are. I see it in healthcare. A lot of the employees have friends that are employees somewhere else. They hang out together. They talk. And don't think that people are not talking about this part of your brand. Because if you're able to offer a very unique experience to your employees, and they truly know that you care beyond the customer, that you care about them, that will attract better people. It will also, and arguably more important, actually not arguably, it is more important, retain the good ones. We talk a lot with New Patient Group. New Patient Group is very much dependent on retention. I never wanted a situation where we had 20,000 clients. I wanted, and this is doctors listening, MPG people, this is what they appreciate. I wanted close personal attention, close personal relationships. Our team is your team, not a consultant, a division of your organization that handles everything you'll ever need to grow. Is there for you during the down times to help you minimize your losses and also still succeed, and also skyrocket the growth during the good times, and handle a lot of the stresses you otherwise would be dealt with on training and marketing and business coaching and culture building and life and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I never wanted this mass organization. I wanted something close knit. And our company is designed to not have to go out and close 20 new customers a month. Our clients love it, and that's what we love. But my point is on the retention is if it was constantly a leaky hole going out the back end, we can't be that company. Then you have to dump a bunch of money into advertising. You've got to get clients that don't even know who you are. It's just like the patients. If you have leaky holes in your organization, you have to do more advertising, maybe pay-per-click. You get phone calls from the wrong people. The conversion's hard because they're shopping at 5 different places. It's the same type of situation with your practice. Same thing, just a different industry. It's retention. And a big part of creating this brand that I'm talking about and referencing to, a huge part of that, retains your clients. Retains your employees. For obvious reasons, because employees are always going to be offered more money. It's the same thing where I don't like the business model of I want to have a ton of new patients and charge a cheap price and just get what I get. Because somebody can always be cheaper than you. Always. And it's the same thing what I'm talking about here is somebody can always offer Betty more money than you. There's always going to be that offer out there. And employees look, man, they should. So you ask yourself if Betty, who may be your favorite employee, gets offered $2 or $3 more an hour and better benefits by another organization, would she take it today? And the answer for most of you out there is the answer is yes. Because if you can't match that, what experiences are you doing where Betty goes, you know what? I need that money. I want that money, and those benefits sure would be nice, but I cannot leave here. I can't leave the experiences, the camaraderie. I love every, 2-3 months going out to a meal that even if I got the $3 extra, I couldn't afford